You have a vision to have basically meat in every store that comes from a farm like Belcampo that's basically doing regenerative farming. How do we get there?
It's about a network of smaller producers working together with shared values. And it's true that there's a limit on regenerative farming in that it requires more human knowledge. So regenerative farming is more difficult to scale in a single operation. It'd be really challenging to have a regenerative farm that was like 200,000 acres because of the amount of manpower needed to pay attention.
Can you first, and I apologize to interrupt, but
Yeah.
Can you say what is regenerative farming?
Sure. So if you're looking at scaling regenerative farming, it's a traditional system of agriculture. Regenerative farming is how we used to farm. We used to farm with an eye towards the long term. You might be on the Fridman farm thinking about your heirs 5 generations from now, farming that same land. Are you going to leave that land nutritionally empty?
No.
Okay.
All right, so long-term thinking.
Also, in traditional ag, you don't have inputs that are very convenient. You can put some chicken manure on, but you can't spray or dump something that massively increases the growing potential of the land. That was not available until the past 60 years. So regenerative agriculture is an approach to farming where you're increasing soil fertility through your farming. You increase soil fertility by feeding the soil. You feed the soil through carbon. That's why regenerative farming is better for the environment. It sequesters carbon and puts carbon into the soil. Now, it's interesting. Plants need carbon and put it into the soil when they're going through growth. So if you have a beautiful field of grass that's just waving in the wind, that's not sequestering as much carbon as plants that have been damaged and are regrowing. Plants that have been damaged and are regrowing are repairing, and they're doing that by drawing down carbon as one of the nutrients that feeds them. To damage the plants effectively, that's what we're doing with regenerative grazing. So the cows or, lambs or whatever out there, they're eating and taking the grass down, and that then causes a regrowth cycle that sequesters carbon.
Wow.
There's a limit to it. There's an edge, because if those plants are so damaged that they can't regrow, then it turns into a dirt patch, and that doesn't sequester any carbon. So it's a balance.
How do you find that balance? So that has to do with like the frequency and the scale of the grazing, essentially?
Exactly.
And so you have to find the right balance, and that connects to both the grass. I mean, is the ultimately the focus here is on the life cycle of whatever is grazing, whether it's cows or lambs or so on?
That's why the scalability question. So all that stuff that I just talked about, like think about all the actions that requires. Somebody's out there looking and paying attention and understanding how far the grass is, remembering what happened in that field last year. There's a huge human intelligence need and human kind of availability of attention. Now, industrial farming has done a great job at de-skilling agriculture. Industrial farming has taken agriculture from being art science to being entry-level employment.
Yeah.
So that's the limiting factor on regen. And that's why I think
the human intelligence piece.